In this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how you can find profitable online arbitrage leads for your business. If you're brand new to the channel, my name's Warner Fields from Fields of Profit. I'm a full-time 7-figure Amazon seller. I do about 90% online arbitrage, which is where I buy items from websites like Walmart and flip those items on Amazon. And so for this video, I've gone ahead and picked out some examples of products that aren't good. We'll talk about why they're not good, and then I'll also show you how to find more of those good products at the end of the video as well. So be sure to stick around for that. But before we jump into today's video, if you guys want even more free resources to learn how to sell on Amazon, link directly beneath me is going to be a completely free Amazon seller Discord community. We have over 40,000 people in there sharing a ton of free information. Would love to see you in there, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. So like I said, in this video, we're going to be jumping into some specific examples of products. Several of these products were sourced by my product sourcing team and then were vetted out by my manager. So I went ahead and picked out some of those items that my team thought might be good, and we kind of decided to pass on them. So I'm going to go ahead and show you our reasoning for why we passed on these items. Hopefully that's super useful as you go out there and continue to source for profitable items to sell on Amazon. So this was the first item that I want to go ahead and break down for us. So over here on Walmart, these little wax melts are going for like $3.93 each. And then over here on Amazon, this same listing is selling right now for about $17.13. The FBA sellers are on this listing for $18. So my team kind of picked this out as something that could be interesting, but let me show you why it's not as good as it might seem. Right off the bat, after our cashback and fees, anything like that, our cost is going to come right around to $8 after your cashback, adding in a little bit of costs for your poly bags, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to put you close to about $8 for your buy cost here, selling for $17. This is already pretty slim in terms of what I like to look for on profit. Usually I look for bare minimum $3. So this is at the far low end of that. ROI, I usually look for 35% or higher. So every time I spend $1, I want to make at least 35 cents in profit or more. So this is kind of a borderline lead for us. So, you know, if you had plenty of money sitting around, like this could be something interesting to look at. But let me show you the real kicker on this listing, show you why it's not good. Looks like since about October 15th, this item has been selling for about $18 or so, just like we're talking about here. It's even more expensive recently. It was selling for, as we're looking at the Keepa, all the way up to $18 exactly. But in the past, as we mouse over the Keepa here, if you're brand new to Amazon, this is a tool called Keepa. It's showing us the past historical data about this item. Looks like in the past, the buy box, so anytime you see this add to cart button, that's the buy box. Looks like in the past, the buy box, kind of where all the sales are rotating through, was sitting closer to like $14 to $15. And so obviously if we come in here and we're selling this for $14, we're making no money at all. You know, our best case scenario, it was selling for $15, we're making 50 cents. And that is not exactly the business that we want to be in, right? So looking at this item, it seems like it might have been a good item when we looked at it, but it's very important when you're looking at your leads to make sure you're considering the whole picture, right? So right now it's decent. It's not the worst lead in the world. Like if you had plenty of money, you're chasing that 35% ROI, $3 profit. But in the past, this item is really bad. So the reason that I go ahead and pass on this is because I don't see any reason that this item wouldn't go back down to this price. Another thing we could look at if you want to be really scientific with it is to zoom out, see how it performed last year compared to the number of sellers. So last year around this time, November 8th, how many sellers were there? There were 9 sellers. What about last year? November 8th, there were about 10 sellers. So very similar story. Last year, this item was selling for $20 right around this time, and then the price started to drop. In this case, on this specific lead, the reason I bet the price drops is because this is like a holiday scented candle, like that kind of stuff. So I bet these only recently started selling at Walmart. So now there's gonna be a whole bunch of other people who see the same lead. They're like, whoa, I can sell this for $18 and make $3 profit. But this item probably just came onto Walmart, a couple other websites as well. And then the market's gonna get flooded and the new seller count is gonna increase just like it did last year. The new seller count increased, and through December, all through January, all that kind of stuff, price just kind of gradually started to decline until it got as low as like $8 there for a little bit. So you definitely want to avoid listings that look like that, where it's usually way cheaper than it is right now. We call that a price spike. So you don't want to buy on a price spike. You want to buy and make sure you're consistently profitable. So if you want to use SellerAmp for this is something I like to do to make sure our items are going to be consistently good. Is over here on SellerAmp, just go to 90 days average. You can click that and it'll change the price. So in this case, I see that over the last 90 days, the average price for this item is about $15. I do not want to sell this for $15, so I'd go ahead and pass. We can do the same thing with the 30-day average, and even at a 30-day average, this item isn't the best. So really this is a couple of red flags there. Something that I know a lot of new sellers really struggle with is not understanding how to look at the past and knowing when that same kind of price decrease is going to come and happen again. So the next item that I want to go ahead and talk about right here is this one from Big Lots. This shampoo is selling for $2.19 over here on Big Lots. And then over on Amazon, the same thing is selling for $23 for a 2-pack. So if you plug that into SellerAmp over here, you'd be making like $5.84 per unit, making over 100% ROI. Seems like an absolute home run, right? But we need to make sure we're looking at the full picture of this item. So to do that, we could go ahead and open up SellerAmp here, just get a full view, all the data we want to see on this item. So what we're really looking for here is to know if this price is going to be consistent long term. That's the key, right? If we buy this item today, it's not going to be for sale at Amazon for 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. So we need to make sure that this item is going to survive that month where we're not making any sales on it. So when I'm looking at an item like this, I'm looking for a couple things. Number one, how much competition do I have? In this case, it looks like over the last few months, September or August area, there's been anywhere from as low as 2 all the way up to kind of 8 or 9 sellers. But very recently, we've had a lot more competition come and hop in on this listing. Maybe they found the same Big Lots listing. So right here, we went on October 30th. It's been 8 days since then as I'm recording this, or 9 days, whatever day it is. They've had an increase of about 10 sellers here. So the number of sellers has doubled essentially. So the supply has almost doubled. If you're going back to your middle school economics, so when the supply doubles, what has to happen, right? The price is going to drop. So when we look at an item and we see on the charts here, we see that the new offer count is increasing very, very rapidly. This is something you want to be very careful of. And so as we're looking at the charts down here, usually this item kind of consistently hangs out close to like the $19 price point. Looks like recently it had a buy box that's getting a lot more popular. You can see that with the sales rank here. You can see on the past it had a drop every now and then, and now the drops are happening a lot more and it's getting lower and lower. It's getting closer to 1 being the fastest selling kind of beauty and personal care. In this case is what the sales rank is referring to. So when we're looking at this, we want to make sure it's long-term sustainable, right? Usually it sells for about $19. Recently it's been selling for closer to $25. So even if we plugged in $19, do we still want to sell it? Probably. ROI is pretty solid. Profit's not quite as good anymore. You know, we're getting to a borderline lead, but just because the ROI is good, you know, you might be able to play ball with them. Looks like it also is hanging closer to $20 in the past as well. And right now, obviously, we'd love to sell this item for $24. Getting some serious profit at $24 here. But we need to get a full picture of this item. So I go ahead and click the 1 year option here on SellerAmp. And this shows me that over the last year, even this time last year, this item was only selling for $14. So that would be really bad in this case. We'd be losing money. We'd be losing $2, pretty significant negative ROI. And so right away, that tells me that last year at this time, I was not interested in selling this item. And last year at this time, there were about 24 sellers. Right now, there's 18 sellers. So we're getting really close to where we were last year. The sales rank looks very similar to what it looked like last year. And right now, the new offer count is seriously spiking. Like we could even zoom out. Did it do the same thing last year about November time? It almost did the exact same thing. We're about to see history repeat here. And so a lot of sellers probably going to come onto this listing. The prices are going to start dropping as simple economics kicks in. And so this is something that you do want to avoid just because of how right down here, this is a huge red flag. If you ever see the new offer count increasing like this, especially if the item is lower sales volume. So in this case, we're getting 200 sales per month. So that's not too bad. If you're closer to like 50 to 30, maybe even 10 sales per month, and you start seeing the new offer count spike like this, that tells you that there's just simply not enough demand to meet the number of sellers on this listing. In this case, even if the listing doesn't go all the way back down to $14 like it did in the past, another interesting exercise we could do is see what the price was last time there were 18 sellers. So the last time there were 18 sellers is January. Last January, February time, it was right around 13 or $14. So that tells me if history continues to repeat itself, when we had the same number of supply in the past, the price was $14. I definitely don't want to be on this listing at $14. So just based on the recent spike in new sellers, this is an immediate pass just because that's such a huge red flag. So the next item I want to go ahead and break down here is this one right here. We were sourcing this serum here from Bed Bath & Beyond for about $9.59 after you get a little bit of a discount there. And then over on Amazon, this same item was selling for $22. Making sure it's the exact same item, right? So it's vitamin C, vitamin E, like you want to check all of the kind of stats on this item. A lot of times with products like this, you might be able to find like an ingredients label, or if it's food, like a nutrition label. Like making sure the product is exactly the same is really, really important. So in this case, I'm pretty certain that this is the same product as it is on Amazon, but there's a pretty big red flag. This one's easier to explain why it's a red flag. If we look down here at the Keepa chart, we can see that there is very, very consistently, even over the last year, 1, 2, maybe 3 sellers on this listing. And so what this tells me is kind of an immediate red flag that this type of product might be getting monitored by the brand themselves. Maybe the brand is selling this product. Maybe this particular product has an exclusive distributor, anything like that we want to be on the lookout for, right? So to know for sure, I go to data and then I go to buy box statistics on Keepa. And this shows me who's getting the sales over the last 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, 365 days. And the last year, this This is the only guy who's ever sold this listing at all. And so this is a huge red flag. There could be listings where someone is getting 100% of the buy box and you're okay to sell it. But let me show you another thing that kind of is the nail in the coffin on this. So this company name is Beauty Solutions Limited. And then right up here, this is Skin Lab by BSL. So Beauty Solutions Limited is kind of in the brand name here, and it's the seller right here. So as you're sourcing through leads, you want to make sure you're looking out for products where the brand themselves is already selling the product. That's going to lead to an IP complaint, give you some headaches, because the brand themselves, they're well within their right to control this listing. You would do the same thing if this was your brand. So we just want to make sure we're avoiding brands like these, avoiding listings like these, so you don't get kicked off and have any other issues with your account. So I also want to go ahead and break down this product right here. This is something that is a lot more interesting in terms of being an interesting item to sell on Amazon. So I want to go ahead and break it down for you. So this item right here is selling about 33 times per month. It's not the fastest mover in the world, but the reason that's okay is over here on eBay, this item is 10 bucks plus there's a 50% off code we can apply on these. So this means we're getting these shirts for $5. Like, this is a crazy steal of a deal here. And so plugging that back in over to SellerAmp, we're paying $5 per item here. We're going to be making $7.85 or 157% ROI on an item like this. And so to me, it's worth this lower estimated sales here. A couple things I want to go ahead and talk about with this listing here is earlier we looked at a listing where there was a huge increase in new sellers, and we immediately called it a bad listing to jump on just because of the increase in new sellers. But let me go ahead and show you something where it can be okay. I'm still 100% expecting the price of this listing to tank, but just because it is going to fall doesn't mean we're not going to be, it's not going to be worth it because of how much room we have to wiggle here, right? So the price could go down to what, like 14 bucks. We could go to 12 before we break even. So the price would have to fall by almost 50%, like 45% on an item like this to even break even. And even then, we're at least getting our money back, right? So in this case, I don't think this item is going to tank to $12. Even if it did, we're getting our money back, all that good stuff. So right now it's selling for 21 bucks. So if we can sell this listing right now, that'd be super awesome. Like, this would even be something that could be worth doing merchant fulfilled, right? Where we buy it, we get it to our house, we immediately go ahead and list it on Amazon so we can try to capture this new price before we know it's going to tank. Just because we've already been talking about increases in new sellers. I went from 1 to 8 here within, a month or so. But as we're zooming out here to see the bigger picture, this is not the first time that this listing has had 8 sellers on it. Same kind of reasoning we did with that last item, right? So on this listing, it looks like the last time this listing had 8 sellers was in March, and the price was still $19.90. So if we want to jump on this $19.90 here, that's not too bad at all still, right? We're getting $6.68. And then we could even zoom out to the bigger picture, like when's the most this listing has ever had on it. When it had 14 sellers on it, it was still 21 bucks. So this is something that's definitely a little bit more interesting. And so this product is certainly not going to make you extremely rich. Like, this product is only selling 33 times per month, plus it has some other variations I might be sharing some of those sales with. I was noticing that the estimated sales was changing a lot when I was changing sizes around. So not exactly sure what's going on there, but we can see that this item is selling. We can also look at the ratings count down here on Keepa within variations, filter out that ASIN, and I went ahead and pulled that up. We can see that this particular shirt does have reviews. It doesn't have a ton of reviews, but about enough reviews that it would make sense that it's selling close to that per month, maybe a little less. But again, this is not a home run item. It's not going to be a home run item. But the reason I want to show you this item is because this can be kind of the foundation of how you can grow your business, how you watching this video can go find your first item using this information. So what I want you to do is go to this listing right here, especially if you're watching within a couple days after I upload this, and go ahead and start checking out the other sellers on these listings. Look at the other variations on this, especially the overpriced ones. Go ahead and look at all the other variations, get as many of these storefronts as possible. And then we're just going to go ahead and open them up using SellerAmp. And this is going to give us a big major view of all the items that they're selling. And if you also want to get fancy, we have an Arbitrage hero integration with SellerAmp. So you can go ahead and see potentially how much this item would cost across the internet. And so as I'm scrolling through here, I know that this guy probably bought this exact shirt from eBay or even just a very similar website. And so I know that other of his products, I'm gonna be able to go out and buy from other websites like eBay, Walmart, and Target, anything like that, right? So I want to go ahead and start looking through all of these listings. We're just going to start opening up anything that seems like we could potentially find it profitably. So in this case, if you look at this and you say, I'm not sure I can get these 2 kind of branded balls of some kind for $6.19. So I'd probably go ahead and keep scrolling here. So again, right here, you'd ask yourself kind of the same question. Can I buy 3 of these for under $16.85? In this case, I'm not really sure what these are kind of priced at. Coffee, a couple times, maybe if we can get these for $5 a box or so, it could be interesting, right? So we go ahead and just start clicking through here on Google, see what they're trying to sell it for. So this might be the source themselves. So if this is the same item here, it looks like it might be going for $8.83. So we'd want to pass on that, or we could look and see if they're running any coupons or anything like that. And so from here, it would just be that same exact process where you're looking through these items, kind of asking yourself the same questions we've been talking about in this video and trying to find items for yourself. And so if you guys are ready to use the information in this video to go start finding some products or maybe find your 1000th profitable lead, make sure you go ahead and activate a free trial of SellerAmp down below. That's going to give you access to all that data we've been looking at. And if you guys did get a ton of value out of today's video, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. That helps me out for sharing value with you guys. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, I'm always happy to answer those down below as well. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.